Tate isn't all bad, but there's plenty he gets wrong. And my big project at the moment is say a prayer for Tate if he does go to jail. I'm worried he might get raped, and that's a terrible thing to happen to any guy. So let's all just spare him a thought. But why is he such a big deal? Why is there the Tate phenomenon? Tim.
Because when you provide easy solutions to ubiquitous puzzles that everyone left, right, center sees out there, all the men anyway, left, right, center, see that their lives have been plagued. Even if you're not married, and your wife plagues you if you're a cucked kind of husband. You go to the store, you go to the bank, you go to the farmer's market, you go to Disneyland, you go anywhere, and you hear why. I mean, not at all times, but you do these things enough through the activity, the business of living, you hear wives screeching at their husbands. You turn on the TV, even if it's just a commercial, it's supposed to be passive. It's a Tide commercial. There's a political agenda. It's wives screeching at their husbands. The husband's the idiot. The wife is really smart, looking at the screen like Jim Halpert in the first seasons of The Office. Anywhere. The shows are all about it. All of the new cartoon characters for kids, the protagonists are female. Females aren't protagonists. Females are supporting characters, right? What's going on? So everyone sees the problem. And when you provide easy answers to ubiquitous problems that even the dummies can see, or when you cast your answers as easy answers, then you're going to be really popular. And I mean, I'm not saying just anyone can do it. Cobra Tate is a man who fits the part, right? I mean, he seems cool. He knows how to defend himself. He's got billions, like he gets chicks. He gets chicks, bro. And it's like, yeah, so I mean, that is the precise trap, pitfall, attractive nuisance that your typical dumb guy falls for. I mean, sorry, man, but that's how it is. When there's an obvious solution, this is a very dangerous time. If it is an obvious solution to a great, big, real, unimagined problem, because this is when the real demagogues step forward and say, here's your solution. And they might be 70% right, which I think the four of us agree. Tate's 70% right. He attacks feminism and sounds kind of wise, but he's only providing half the solution. So it's a very dangerous time when universal problems arise. Remember what what's his face? Emmanuel said, Obama's advisor, he said, you never let a crisis go to waste. When there's a crisis, the demagogues arise with fake solutions. And that's ultimately what all Tate's offered the world since he gained such fame, is a fake solution to the problem of feminism. He sounds like he combats it, but all of his solutions involve indulging it.
So there's something there that he's grappled with that people are getting insufficient answer to elsewhere, and it seems like Tate has really nailed it. That reminds me of what one of the church fathers said about heresies, which is that they always grow best in the shade of truth. So, Elliot, what is it that you think Tate is onto? What heresy is growing in the shade of truth there?
Well, what I think he's onto is riding the wave of the zeitgeist. I can't help but to liken him onto Donald Trump. I see so many parallels there. Donald Trump's so-called his rise to prominence that happened in a so-called unexpected way really parallels what's going on with Tate, meaning that, as everything Tim just said, they're both guys that give a very simple answer to a complex question. Donald Trump with his sound bites and his entertaining way of being, and also, which is in line with what Tim just said, there's a hunger, there's a crying out in the hearts of men, and a guy like a Donald Trump come to the rescue in a way, right? But both Tate and Trump, interesting, they both got T's. Both Tate and Trump, I kind of struggle with also. So first of all, yeah, Tim, you're right. They only go about 70% of the way. But that 30% is very disconcerting because I can't help but think that even though Donald Trump trumpets the idea of being, draining the swamp, he never did it. It's like he was telling us everything we wanted to hear, but never really gave us the fullness of what he promised. And the same way with Tate, like he's telling you what you want to hear, right? I listened to a little video about, how to handle marriage. And it was completely ridiculous, but it was so entertaining. It was so fun. It was so self-righteous that you're going to draw attention, but then really you never really give us the real solution. There's no real solution there. There was no draining of the swamp, just like there's no real repair of masculinity through a Tate. And also with the two of them, I can't help but think that there may be some element of controlled opposition at play here. I've heard on multiple occasions Tate say that his father was a CIA agent. I can't help but think that somehow, in some way, perhaps he's a plant. And I don't discount that with Trump either. I think that perhaps he was a plant in order to draw out a certain demographic that's not doing so well. And then also to continue to drum up strife between the left and the right, man and woman, right and wrong, evil and good, just like to pit us against each other a little bit more. So I can't help but think lately that the whole rise of Tate and of Trump, I should call him Tate. Tate. The rise of the two of them is somehow a psyop. I think they're plants and that we're being tricked.
Well, Trump is arguably one of the most pro-LGBTQ presidents ever. And right. Tate, too, has described himself as a feminist before. And his philosophy just boils down to feminism ultimately, like get laid and get paid. What else has he got apart from that? So in terms of opposition to liberalism, there's not a lot there. But the packaging of machismo makes it seem so attractive to frustrated young guys who feel emasculated. Mike, any thoughts to add on Tate?
Yeah, I think both those answers are excellent, and he is hitting some notes that are correct with respect to pointing out the excessive negative side effects of feminism and what's that has done to men. So he's offering sort of a red meat answer to an otherwise cucked male demographic. But then in addition to that, if his conversion to Islam is sincere, then now he's offering maybe a new view that's getting a bit closer to the truth, right? It's getting closer to an account of theism and valuing of the family and valuing of natural law. But then it misses the mark because, for all the reasons we talked about, it being a Catholic heresy, Islam's account of God is flawed. It's too impersonal. Islam's account of will and intellect are incorrect. And obviously their account of Christ is incorrect. And their account of heaven is incorrect. So, at least his movement from red pill secularist to Islam it's a step in the right direction. But I'm with Elliot on this. That seems to me like it almost might be a controlled opposition, right? It's like, okay, this guy's leading the men of the West, to fornicate like crazy, then leave the West for Islam. I mean, this is our leader we're looking towards. That's the answer, right? Like that, right. that seems off, right? So maybe it is like a Pied Piper. Let's direct the men of of the West into this sort of like release valve towards Islam, as opposed to saying no, let's rebolster Christendom, right? That's the true threat.